All right, thank you for staying with us. And as we said, the conversation is about the state of the nation. And periodically on this program, we look at issues in the nation, in the polity, in the economy, the agricultural sector, the security or insecurity, situation that we have found ourselves, and that is not waning. Sadly, it's increasing, having different faults and different dimensions. And of course, the politics of the nation talk about governance as well and matters arising. We read it in the papers. How yesterday the Senate got a letter from the All Progressives Congress chairman. That letter was signed by the chairman, Abdullah Ganduje, and of course, the national secretary of the party, the APC, Senator Ajibola Bashir, in which they wrote the National Assembly leadership, the chairman of the National Assembly, that's Senator Josela Fabio, who is the president of the Senate, read it and said is the letter from the party, and they called that the position of the chief whip, which one of their members, Senator Aline Dume, was holding, should be taken away because it has been his actions has been inconsistent with the values of their own party. That if he has something to say, there are internal mechanisms in which he could have gone through to make those grievances. He shouldn't have gone public, and his actions, is tantamount to actions that undermines the president, and they will not be part of that. And in fact, it was advised that he should, if actually wants to be part of the opposition, because in the manner in which he has been talking is more like an opposition, he should rather leave the party and go join the opposition. And right there, that particular letter and the content was put up for a voice vote, and the senators of the APC, vetoed it, and then it's the position of the chief whip was taken off rather from Aline Dume, who was conspicuously missing from the plenary yesterday and given to his colleague from Borno North, Senator Monguno. Let's allow you to take a look over how the Senate President read that letter and how it went.
Complaints against the unbecoming utterances of Senator Ahmed Ali Ndume. I'm writing on behalf of the National Working Committee of our great party to express our displeasure, our outrage, and our deep disappointment at the unbecoming, unfounded, and baseless criticism of the government and the party, the APC, by your majority whip of the Senate, Senator Ali Muhammadu Ndume. As a member of the ruling party, we expected a much more responsible and decorous behavior from him. But this has not been the case. His uncouth and rabid outbursts against the governments before the international community and before the global community is not only harmful to the government's image alone, but also undermines the party's unity and cohesion. And in addition, undermines the government's efforts to bring in foreign direct investment to Nigeria. As he's a ranking member of our party, his actions are unbecoming of a senior member of the Senate and sets a very poor example for others in future to follow. Those of you who are in support of the suggestion by the party, can you shout aye? Those against say nay. No, no, I have to be sure. Those of you who are in support of the decision by the party, can you shout aye? Those against say nay. The ayes have it. It does not concern him. Accordingly, Senator Tahir Mohamed Monguno replaces Senator Alin Dume as the majority whip of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Can it be brought forward?
Evelyn, there you go. That was what happened yesterday. Maybe it might look maybe not that important, but I was wondering, in that kind of letter that was read, it was more like the party front, of which the party in which he belonged himself wrote a letter to say one of his members, a very high-ranking member, has done something inconsistent with the values of their party, and they will not have it. He should be booted out. They stated their reason, and in going through that process to round it off, the Senate president found something
amusing.
Comic. Why? How?
Well, if you are very consistent.
It's the serious business of the state. That's what they do at that plenary.
If you really know the Senate President Godswill Akpabio well, you know that he finds little things amusing. This is not the first time that Senate President would actually
even things that are meant to be
laugh
serious
at some issues when he's reading out some issues or some bills or situations or anything in the hallowed chambers. He just finds a way to make himself laugh. We say stay happy always. So I'm guessing the Senate President, that's his mantra. He wants to always stay happy and all of that. Remember at the Democracy Day when the President was reading out, telling the labor, organized labor, saying that you people can't go on strike, you can't protest and all of that. For a way, I didn't find anything amusing there. It was a serious situation, and for a reason, the Senate President laughed. And people have actually spoke about the insensitivity of those moments by the Senate President. He is not just a senator. He is not just a ranking senator. He is the #3 man in the country.
Right.
And there are some situations that should not really be found with the Senate President, because it speaks to how trivial it takes those issues. And like I said, that's one thing with Senator Godswill Akpabio. He always finds something amusing about situations.
And it's good that you stay happy, you keep yourself happy, but when you come to such plenary, that respected chamber, many persons will think you are not meant to come there and frown your face or through, but there are some things that doesn't warrant that thing. A colleague of yours, a high-ranking, if not for the post of this Senate presidency that he has, Alin Dume is a senior to Godswill Akpabio, but that doesn't matter. He's the one sitting in that seat right now, and your colleague is being booted out for whatever the party has said, and you're laughing to round it to veto. And, it's just like you said, it's not just the first time, but then that's on his side. But many persons have been talking about shutting down the voice or voices of dissent, that anybody that doesn't agree with the president and choose to come public with it, you always know how people will come. I mean, it's not just with this government, by the way. It has people who remember the hatchet job that Garba Shehu and Femi Adesina did while they were in charge of the media and publicity of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Many persons will say they are doing their job, but now so many persons are worried that Tinubu pride himself as a Democrat.
Yeah.
So when people talk at him, he did that when he was in power. Many persons, when that situation happened yesterday, many persons were digging out tweets and videos of President Bola Tinubu, some of the things his handler said, some of the things he said, some of the languages he used, especially during the government of Goodluck Jonathan. And so you're now saying, all of a sudden, your guys are the one giving it, the way they say it, basketballs to everybody that shut down, to the level that an Alin Dume, somebody of his rank, to be booted out Many persons will say the president did do that.
Exactly.
But
I was
you
just
and I
about to say
know
that.
such a move will not happen without the no. It doesn't have to endorse. But are you saying the APC leadership wouldn't have consulted him, or he didn't know, or he found out when Godswill Akpabio was reading it yesterday?
Yeah.
But many persons will say again that maybe Akpabio's own too in the Nigerian parlance, his own is too much. He has always been vocal, a big garrulas. He did it. He was suspended under the leadership of Bukola Saraki, and he's not new to being suspended. But another person will say maybe is one man who will not just sit and allow bad things to happen. He has said so many things in the past, things that are even deadly to his own self, and many things that we have seen that will happen. But then, what does he speak to free speech?
Yes, what does it speak to free speech? Like you mentioned, the president is not in the Senate, is not in the National Assembly,
right.
so their business is strictly their business. And so President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may say, I'm not in the know of this, although he is the leader of the party as the highest, as a person holding the highest position in that party. So definitely nothing would have been done without his knowledge. So you spoke about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu being a Democrat, and yesterday you were mentioning that a lot of people who fought against high-handedness of political leaders back then, by the time they get into position of power, they do the complete opposite. And people have also been asking, is this what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also doing? For Ali Ndume, there are also arguments about the fact that he was not this vocal during the administration of President Buhari. In fact, when people were calling out the Buhari administration for crippling the economy, in an interview, I remember then, he said that, nobody should say that because Buhari is really, really doing his job. He's fighting corruption. He's trying to work on the economy. He's, tackling insecurity. So, in fact, he told the interviewer then that if you come to my state and you say this kind of a thing, they will all insult at you because they believe that President Muhammad Buhari is doing the right thing. So people are arguing, or they are saying that for someone who was, who took all in what President Muhammad Buhari did for 8 years, and just 1 year of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now being vocal. They see it as an attack against the presidency coming to the South. So, people would always throw in the tribal sentiment. So, but then, like we said earlier, two truths can coexist. The question is, all what Ali Ndume spoke about in that interview, is it the reality of Nigeria? Yes, it is the reality of Nigeria. And the people at the ends of affairs should see and understand what the people are going through and prefer solutions, quick solutions, so that people are not pushed to a situation whereby they turn back. We are at the precipice, as you see it in the country, and just a little push, we read in the news where religious leaders are admonishing the presidency to do something quick about the economy because, against the protests, because if protest ensues, there will be anarchy, there will be crisis in the country. As it is in Nigeria, we are just at that precipice now, and any little push, any little, trigger can cause chaos and crisis in the country.
Right, and we don't want that. We can afford that at the moment. And, talking about senators, talking about leaders who were at a position before, and now that they are the other end of the table, they are doing something or saying something different. There are clips of Ahmed Lawan, that was Senator Ahmed Lawan, former Senate president. Recently he has been quoted calling for leaders at all levels to do what is right, especially the president, that because of the situation of the country, and looking like he is saying something that has to do with the betterment of the nation and the benefit of the masses, rather. And many persons will say, really, Senator Ahmed Lawan, former Senate president, many persons have been attacking him to say, excuse you, why are you saying this at this time? You were in charge of the National Assembly that vetoed, the biggest loan, seeking of loans in Nigeria. I mean, under President Muhammadu Buhari. Ahmed Lawan was there, especially for his second term, and there were allegations and confirmation that he said anything Buhari brings, Buhari gets at that point in time. And, you know, let me even reel out one of those things where it was reported by the cable, where Ahmed Lawan was quoted to have said, we won't disagree with Buhari to please anybody. You know, we won't disagree with Buhari. So Ahmed Lawan was there when the ways and means was being done, when currency was being printed anyhow without the endorsement, you know, proper endorsement of the National Assembly. He was the Senate president when the situation with Emefiele happened, the currency situation, the printing of new notes and everything that happened, recession. You were there. Your National Assembly was so docile that, you know, many persons still now, when you type rubber stamp National Assembly, you know the name that will come out. And all of a sudden, you are the one now calling that, you know, the nation should do this, president should do that. Oh, really? What happened? What has changed? Now that you are just his floor member at the Senate, what is with people and power and leadership? They behave one way when they don't have power. When they have it, they are not consistent. When they are now out of power, all of a sudden, they become the people's fighter.
Femi, when it comes to people speaking out, yeah, I like to actually take the message and leave the messenger. Because
sometimes you can't divorce the two.
You know, in our own country, when an administration ends and another one begins, it becomes a time for those at the arms of affairs to continue to give a flashback of what we experienced in the former administration. I say, okay, but this administration did it, so why are you complaining when we are doing it?
Right.
You know, one of the holy books says, shall we continue in sin because grace abounds? And it was quick to say, God forbid. So should we continue to do things wrong because, oh, that was how it was done in the past, so we have our time, we'll continue to do it?
The holy book you mentioned there talk about shall we continue in sin, and say, that was from Apostle Paul, if my knowledge of the Bible is not rusty, and grace you abide, that you must have had an acknowledgement of sin. You must know that we are in sin.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge that, yes, I am a sinner. And so grace should not be the reason why I should continue sinning. This guy will not acknowledge that they were part of the wrong. That is the thing. So you can always, what they do is to ignore what has happened and now appear like they are speaking for the people. No, the intention must be known. What is the motive? Where were you 4 years ago? And now, if actually you know that you have done something bad, you should first acknowledge. In fact, we are not going theological this morning. If you want to confess your conversion, you know, you must first acknowledge what you have done and what you are getting into. But you want us to be blindsided. You want us to forget what has happened. All of a sudden, you are the one speaking for the people. That's why and that's how Nigerians are questioning the motive behind this new voice that most of them have found.
Have you thought to actually consider if no one is actually speaking from those people? Nobody is speaking. They are not saying anything. It's just the people against the government. So
what does it change?
This is why I think,
because these same people will go to the villa.
Yes.
They'll still do rankadede.
This is why I think for every dissenting voice, which is actually the reality of the people, we should try as much as possible to project it and say, okay, this is what we feel at this time.
But people
we
will
might leave out
question
the messenger.
Of the message.
But the message at the time, we should actually take out time to project it, to amplify it, so we know that, okay, this is the reality of the people at this time. Whether or not Ali Ndume has the moral right to say what he's saying at this time, I do not care. But what I care about is the message that has come out of his mouth. Is it the reality that we have on ground? Yes, it is the reality we have on ground, and people should actually amplify it more.
All right. You know, part of what happened at the plenary yesterday was that call by the president that the budget should be in a kind of way reviewed, and he's seeking more than 6 trillion naira, you know, he should be granted that leeway, and it is for the betterment, you know, of this great nation called Nigeria. More than 6.2 trillion or thereabout to, you know, finance infrastructure, and it's all about this nation called Nigeria. You know, he wrote to the National Assembly yesterday, and Gospel Akpabio read it. You should take a look.
Act Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to amend the Principal Act to provide the sum of 3,200,000,000,000 only for renewed hope infrastructure projects and other critical infrastructure projects to be undertaken across the country, and the sum of 3 trillion only to meet further recurrent expenditure requirements necessary for the proper operation of the federal government, expenditure which are to be funded by expected revenues accruing to the federal government of Nigeria. Furthermore, the proposed amendments to the Finance Act 2023 are required to impose a one-time windfall tax on the foreign exchange gains realized by banks in their 2023 financial statements to fund capital infrastructure development, education, and healthcare access, as well as public welfare initiatives, all of which are essential components of the Renewed Hope agenda. While appreciating the Senate's expeditious consideration of these submissions, please accept, distinguished Senate President, distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
And of course, that is the process. The president has written to the National Assembly to say, grant me this prayer and amendment of the Principal Act, and to occupy and to put some things there so that we could have enough money to finance some of these things. And that is what we are seeing at this time. Don't forget, the current 2024 budget, I think, is in the excess of 28 trillion naira or thereabout. 27, yeah, very well. And now additional 6.2 or so trillion naira is being sought by Mr. President to finance some of his plan, the Renewed Hope agenda. And, you know, as they say, what can you do with that money? Money after money then is money. And so that is what is being sought. But then how do we finance this thing? To have a budget is one thing. How do we get it? Don't forget, the principal financing of the current budget is majorly through loans as well. And then we learned yesterday the House of Representatives endorsed the budget of the NDDC, and that was in excess of 1 trillion naira. And how are you going to get it? It will still be through loans as well. NDDC, and Niger Delta Development Commission, having a budget of 1-point-something trillion naira, and which will be financed through loans. And so this is speaking, Evelyn, to loans. So we just read this morning, 752 or thereabout of a World Bank loan that it has been received by the government again. Loans upon loans upon loans. Do we have commensurate value for some of these loans so far? Well, NDDC, 1-point-something trillion naira to be principally funded through loans.
It's how we are going to, definitely this new supplementary budget will be funded through loans, because we are deficit, a huge deficit also
in the main budget.
In the main budget. And the president has said is for him to, and his administration to be able to look into, especially the minimum wage, so that they can pay the Nigerian workers what is due them. And my question is, you have not been able to finalize what the real pay or the actual pay, the final pay will be as the minimum wage. So how did you come up with this new budget, or is there already a figure that the Nigerian people are not aware of? I mean, if you already have a figure and you've been able to do your mathematics to say, okay, we need additional 6 trillion naira to be able to pull through, then you can as well just let the people know how much you have been paying, you are going to pay, instead of this unnecessary delay. You know, so that's my own grouse with this new, with the supplementary budget.
Specifics, yeah.
Exactly. If you are saying you will need 6-point-something trillion naira, and you're saying that one major reason for going back to the Senate for this supplementary budget is because of the new minimum wage, then let the people know how much they are going to get as the new minimum wage, instead of the back and forth with the organized labor. It's totally unnecessary. And like we know, the organized labor also has been threatening a total shutdown for 30 days. Someone may say this is not the first time that a Joe Ajaero will threaten the federal government with a shutdown, and they may just be indifferent about this one because the previous ones didn't pull through. So how sure are we that Joe Ajaero really means what he is saying?
Right.
So total shutdown threat from the organized labor. The federal government saying that they are working to ensure that the people get the new minimum wage, which is which. Just let us move forward as a people once and for all. Let's ensure that we, you know, there's this thing about the government where we just go rigmarole around issue situations, drag it for long, and at the end of the day, you finally approve, and you approve with so much praises, with so much pomp and pageantry, as if you've done something out of the blues. Have you done something so magnificent for something that you took like 11 months, a year, and 2 months, 24 months to approve? So for this minimum wage, I think let's just know where we are headed. Let the organized labor know this is what you can pay and this is what you will pay. And let's know if the organized labor will accept. I mean, the back and forth is tiring, really tiring. If I can feel this way, I can imagine what the people that are supposed to get exactly the funds feel.
You know, I said something about the NDDC budget, and it has been passed by the House of Reps to the tune of 1.91 trillion naira. That's almost 2 trillion naira. Now, the question is, what is the budget performance of the previous budget that they had? And you know, the NDDC has always been touted as a cash cow. Really, you know what happened 2-3 years ago when the investigation was being done? How some of them fainted. You know, the whole thing, the honorable off your mic thing, and there is no definite. Nobody can really pinpoint to say this is how NDDC has been useful in the past. Under the same NDDC, in the last 3 years or so, they said under the leadership, I think, of the late Cairo Jugo, when he was defending it, said he gave scholarship to students from the Niger Delta and abroad, only for those students to stage a protest, to grant interviews to say, yes, they were granted scholarship, but their school fees have not been paid. And the late leader, then I remembered, the late Cairo Jugo said he and some of the executives were going to UK for convocation, a matriculation ceremony, and for the students to say, which kind of matriculation or convocation are you coming for? Our admissions are almost being terminated. Admission status is almost being revoked because they have not been paid. The school fees have not been paid. And you, the leadership, then carry themselves to the UK for matriculation or for convocations of students that don't have, that are almost losing the admission. Is as bad as that. Till now, Evelyn, can you remember anybody or group of people being identified for prosecution? Through that, what really happened? Nothing happened. The current Senate president was the minister in charge of the Niger Delta. He said they were going to do a financial audit, and he was in charge of it. And many persons said then, you are an interested party because you are the one supervising this agency. You should not have anything to do. In fact, you should be part of those people that will be audited. The issue with, I think, a previous chairman or chairperson of the NDDC, a woman, you know, that had back and forth with the same Akpabio that time, that had one, that the police or so besieged her house, and he took Governor Wike. You remember that drama to go and take her from her home and take her to the government house? It's sometimes it looks like in Nigeria, the more you look, the less you see, and nothing has changed. So the same NDDC now that we lent awarded serious contract So the team, very huge amount of money to companies that are not existent, to companies that have restaurant, approval till now. In 2024 now, they are now coming, and not just that they are coming, they have their budget passed, approved 1.91 trillion naira. Show us workings. Mba. We can't really say this is what they have done so far. Almost 2 trillion naira to be financed through loans. Who pays?
I remember the Akpabio drama, and where he was saying to the lawmakers, then if I go down, you go down. A lot of people found put off your mic and all of that.
It's okay. It's okay.
A lot of people thought that that situation is one kind of worms that would actually let us know the rot that is going on in NDDC. But like you said, it was cover up, and it was just a drama. Like someone says Nigeria is like a show. We have different series, and you just face one, you watch, you're entertained, you move on to the next, because nothing really is being done. And I dare say it's because the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation is not really as it should. There are a lot of people that have called for the spoken against the fact that the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation is not well funded, and the Auditor General is not allowed to do his job as he should.
But a couple of discoveries have been made by different Auditor Generals, but you never hear about the prosecution. Many, at least a couple of them, that have said, this is what we found out here, this is what we found out here. But then, the Auditor General's office is to investigate, especially financially, come up with a report and submit it to those that will take action. Yeah. So where's the action?
Not just the Auditor General. We know the number of cases that the EFCC has, investigated.
And bungled.
ICPC has investigated. Where did this lead us to? We have been talking or asking about Yaya Bello. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Looking like...
So he will have his day in court. That's all.
Well, we do not know what that case is about. The Better Edu case is as good as that. There are reports that she's planning a comeback when she still has a case to answer. This tells you about how deep impunity has eaten into our country. And if we do not take that out of our system, I dare say that we will just remain stagnant in a position we are not moving forward. Because another set of people will come and still thrive in impunity. Nothing will happen. Another set of generation will come, thrive in impunity. Nothing will happen.
And that's why many persons are saying, which is that conversation, you might want to say is flawed, but to say EFCC will run after Yahoo boys, fraudsters, the little fishes, so to speak, and then make their face, they give them the mug shot and they show their face, talk about the offenses, and when it comes to the big wigs, all we hear is stories and stories and stories from time immemorial. Now we have Olaolukoide in charge, and he granted a press briefing. It was a celebrated one. Yeah. It was lyrical, waxing lyrical, talking a talk about how if he doesn't get Yaya Bello, the case against him was going to resign. This is almost how many months after. And then at the weekend, it was in a parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God at a leadership training, and talking about corruption. And of course, he alleged that many house of worship, are conduit pipe for fraudsters, that many religious leaders are allowing their congregation, their establishment to be used by fraudsters. And he even said, they said that the amount of corruption going on in the places of worship is bigger than what is going on, in the political space. And many person will say, hello, sir, wait a minute, what are you saying exactly? And this is what has been happening. One of in-house analysts, Ladeji, said, and he has continuously said, maybe the man is talking too much. I want to align in a kind of way. Where's the action? For the big wigs, not just these ones that you go to Cubana, you go to one clubhouse to go and ransack the place. Your personnel will give people the baton. They will beat up, they will snatch wigs, and then what we will hear is to say the agency had identified 2 personnel of yours that have done something that is inconsistent with your values, and then you are prosecuting them. We don't know their face. They themselves, they are corrupt people. Because if you could snatch wigs, if you could be beating people, that means you don't know what you are doing. And then people supposed to know you. You don't know their face. There is no name to those 2 personnel And that is what we have been seeing. So it's more like when it's our own, we know how to pamper. But when it's some of those boys that are fraudsters, yes, fraud is bad. Fraud is not within our laws. It's something bad. But can you make examples of the big wigs, of the man in Agbada, the woman in hijab, who are corrupt, and shame them, naming and shaming? In the words of former President Muhammadu Buhari, he said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. But many persons will say, okay,
the corruption
you
he failed.
the corruption.
The corruption he failed to kill,
Yeah.
and that particular statement is one that will continue to ring a bell in our hearts, because that is what we should do. If we do not face corruption squarely and kill it, we will get to a time where our country will be a joke to us, and I don't think we want to get to that position where our country, our dear country Nigeria, will be a joke
It's
to
almost.
us. You know, recently we had the conviction of a U.S. Congressman, Bob Menendez, I think I'm correct, Menendez, yes, who was convicted of a 16-count charge by the jury. He is a Democrat congressman, and now he risks facing years, at least a decade in prison. Also, his wife is also facing trial, but he has been convicted by a jury. This is someone who is still in office, who is under the current ruling party in the U.S., being convicted of bribe and of bribery and all. I mean, and when I read the report, I was like, okay, I want to put that same situation in our dear country, Nigeria. Can it really work?
Yeah.
Where someone will be convicted who is probably a senator, who is an APC senator, who has been alleged of bribery. He was investigated, he was found guilty, and he was convicted. Can it happen in our dear country, Nigeria?
Yeah, we will say we are hopeful that one day it will happen, that the status in which you occupy will not matter when it comes to you being accountable for the people. And we have always said it, and we are reiterating it again. You being accountable does not mean you are guilty. Just be accountable for the people. It's as easy as that. Let people, you should have the subconsciousness that any time in this office that you're occupying, or even 10 years after you might have left, if there is a need for you to be asked questions, you will always come to say, this on day 12, this is what I did, day 14, till I left. Is as easy. But when successive governments ask leaders about what they are doing and what they should be doing, it will look like they are being persecuted, and which is not the way it should be. And then it's really, and it is what we are seeing at this time. Everybody should be accountable, knowing that when you are in charge, especially in charge of the patrimony of the people, the Commonwealth, you can always be seen to say, come and give account of yourself. And it won't be attributed to persecution. It should not be attributed that is because you are not in power, and that is why the people in charge are not liking your face. But then responsibility is the key word here. And of course, just like we said, the matter of corruption is a lot. No wonder the former, or little wonder rather, the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, said something that I think was misconstrued when he said, stealing is not the only form
of corruption.
But I think the politics around that time was too high. That I'm not speaking for him, by the way, but it was said, it was time to be, stealing is not corruption. And many persons believe that was not what he said. He only said the fact that you're stealing money is not the only form of corruption. Nepotism is corruption. So many things is corruption. Your inaction, not just only the action, but inaction can only, can always be termed to be corruption as well. And this is part of what we are following at this time. And just we said, we're looking at the state of the nation on the program this morning. Many things has happened, from the judiciary, the local government autonomy that has been granted to them, the financial autonomy and the political autonomy. There are some persons that are, a bit skeptic about how will these work. Have they been given the 100% leeway of total administrations about themselves? Politicians have been reacting to these as well. But at this time, we are being joined by another politician, in the House to give his own reaction to this about the state of the nation. He is Alhaji Kamaru Ajisafe. He is the Vice National Chairman of the PDP in the Southwest. Thank you for joining us, Alhaji.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I would like to ask you many questions, by the way. Let's start from the state of the nation right now. The economy, the security, things that we are witnessing at this time. You're a politician, you're a person of influence. I'm sure you live around us, you live among us. Your people defer to you, they tell you what is happening. How will you describe what is going on right now? Some achievements, so to say, if actually we have anyone like that in the last year of administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from May 29 last year to today, July 18, 2024. How will you describe it?
Well, to be very honest with you, not minding that I'm in the PDP, which is the opposition to the APC. I try as much as possible to be open, not to be biased, to see what I can lay my hand on in terms of achievement of the present government. But I find it very difficult to actually pinpoint something tangible. We've been hearing of preferring of the National Commonwealth, and well, it's quite unfortunate that the PDP will not behave the same way the APC did when they were in the opposition. They can go to the extent of lying, like you rightly said, against Jonathan just to get power. And they did it, and that's fine, but that's not our own way. We won't go into the feet of negative propaganda for the mere fact that we want people to see us as an opposition party. We are still very cautious, and we are waiting to see the achievement of Bola Tinubu. Maybe because I'm a Yoruba man too. Maybe I'm not fully energized to criticize him. I don't know why, but we are waiting. The whole world is looking at him. The whole Yoruba nation is looking at him. Let him showcase his achievement. In terms of security, we are not there yet. We are not even there at all. The economy, what do you want to talk about the economy? Go to the Nigerian Port Authority, the customs is neither here nor there. Even the people that are clearing vehicles, there's no straightforward guideline as to how much you pay for this category of vehicles, this and this. You see customs on the road. I find it very difficult. How can you let go a vehicle at the point of entry and you are waiting at Ikire or Dagbolu?
But they have always been there over the years.
They've always been there.
Yeah.
But one would have expected the caliber of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to right the wrongs. Let's assume the Jonathan government has not did not do well. You expect Bola Tinubu being what he claimed to be, which are not opposing him, are not in any way. So the question of trying to substantiate it doesn't come in. Let me give it to him the way he portrays himself. By now, we should be seeing changes.
Now, Alhaji, it's like you had, despite being in the opposition, you have talked about maybe your sentiment as a Yoruba person.
Yes.
Do you have a high opinion, high expectation of a Bola Tinubu for who he was, who people have claimed that he is, and who you yourself think he is, and are you disappointed so far?
Well, maybe I should leave that answer to the common people on the street.
No, we have you here. You're a person of influence,
Yes.
and that's why we are taking these issues up.
Well, it's short of my expectation. I expected Bola Tinubu for what he claimed to be doing things seamlessly,
Claim to be. What did he claim to be, Alhaji? To start with, what did he claim to be? So that we look
well, Bola
into that prism.
Bola Tinubu, either you want to agree with me or not, will claim to be a Democrat par excellence, a thoroughbred politician who is surrounded by technocrats. And he showcased that at the London show when he will be asked questions and he will call on those experts. You answer on defense, you answer on the economy. So we have not seen much from Wale Edun, who is the chairman of the Council of Economic, Council of Ministers.
Quality Minister for Economy. Yeah.
We have not seen much. Things are not moving. I'm telling you.
All right, Alhaji, before my colleague Evelyn will come up, you spoke about.
But I don't want to be sensational. I will not be sensational.
Yeah, please.
I don't know.
And now we'll talk about quality of opposition in any democracy. Whenever a party is in power, the opposition will always give it a run for its money, especially about fact. Obvious fact, not just propaganda. Because you said you will not do what the APC did.
We will not do it.
Using your words.
We will not do that.
But what does it speak about quality opposition? You are the vice chairman, vice national chairman of the PDP in the entire Southwest. What does it make of your party? Because many persons have said the PDP of 1999, 2003, 2007 is not what we are seeing now. That your team in the PDP, they are depleted. Many of them are standing one leg in, one leg out, and that the PDP can never and should never be taken seriously. I'll give you two examples. That the issue in River State, you, the PDP as a party, the governors of the PDP have not shown enough support for Governor Fubara. That's number one. That you have not really been vocal about him. And it's because maybe some of you have allegiance with former Governor Wike. That's number one. And number two, talking about Wike, that a serious party would not have allowed a Wike to be having a free day. It was at your former convention, is with the APC, is in charge. He has been given the money Rivers problem, who is a governor of your party. And maybe he has two incriminating things against the leadership of your party. Long and short, that the PDP is nowhere to be found in terms of quality opposition. What do you say?
Well, PDP being a political party needs to be very careful too in terms of how you want to discipline your members. You will agree with me that Wike was at the NEC meeting, but he wanted to talk, but he couldn't muster enough energy to even raise his hand and talk. Where is he going to delve into? You know, there's an adage in Yoruba. I might not be able to do the interpretation rightly, but I will try that. If you are being pursued by the masquerade, endeavor, because as you are getting tired, it's always getting tired too. Tí egun bá léèyàn, bó ṣe rárá yé ló ń rárá ọ̀run. Wike is struggling too. It's not easy to eat your cake and have it.
It doesn't appear so.
It doesn't appear so.
It doesn't appear so.
Maybe.
Or is he bigger than your party?
No,
Alhaji Ajisafe.
no.
It's appearing that he's bigger.
Nobody can be bigger than PDP. As a matter of fact, there was this small thing that happened. There was this court judgment of Rivers State High Court. It was appealed. But it wasn't the PDP that appealed it, because the law is very straightforward. The National Legal Advisor must be the one to appeal. But the Rivers State Legal Advisor contracted it out to a senior advocate and they appealed to it. But the National Legal Advisor has spoken. You know, we can't do more than that. You know, we can't be...
But you've suspended other members. And you couldn't suspend Wike.
Well, Wike has not done anything that could have warranted him being suspended.
You think so? He is speaking against your party. He is working for the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is under the APC. So you think what Minister Wike has done is not too much for him to be suspended?
Well,
he even worked against your presidential candidate.
Exactly.
And he was vocal. He didn't hide it.
Yeah, he didn't hide it. He didn't hide it. It's true. It's true. It's true. I agree with you on that, but there's always a repercussion to such things. But as regards his participation in the present government, it will not be too out of place. We have precedent as to people, with due respect to late Chief Bolage of the ACN, then he was part of Obasanjo's government.
Yeah.
You know, so we can let him have that. But when it comes to issue of PDP issues, Wike should not be seen to be drawing us back.
Is he not?
But we are watching. We are watching.
And he has dared your party to say, if they have the grit, let them suspend me. He has dared you.
Yes, but he has not done anything that could have warranted him being suspended. So we are waiting for him to cross the line.
So
he
right now he has not crossed the line.
He has not crossed the line.
Okay. I'll pick Minister Wike as to what just happened to Senator Ali Ndume, where his party came, for his head, with the statement he made against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was removed as a chief whip of the Senate and replaced. So, would you say Ali Ndume crossed the line that Wike never crossed?
I'm worried.
And many persons will say maybe the APC are a serious party.
No, they are not serious party. Maybe the APC cannot take the punches, the blow of internal criticism within the party. Ndume saw something wrong and he pointed out to them. Instead of them to address the issue, they throw the water and the baby away, which is not too good. But it's good for us in the PDP that is happening, so that we can harvest those kind of people.
Are you expecting Ali Ndume in your party?
If Ali Ndume is not joining our party now, is actually depleting the APC. And if you say Ali Ndume is not popular in his own domain, you are just you are just deceiving yourself. Right. Ali Ndume has always been what I can call is a man that will always want to hear his view whenever he feels something is wrong. Right. So they should have accommodated him. That is to tell you what APC stands for. My only worry about APC, let me be very honest with you, is tampering. I'm just begging them. I'm just using this opportunity to beg them not to derail this democracy in terms of tampering with electoral process. That's only my worry. Every other thing, you can let them have it. But the people are not feeling good. The larger percentage of Nigerians are not okay. Economically, financially, they are complaining.
Alhaji Ajisafe, it seems you have a lot to talk about, the economy of the country at this time, but you seem not want to call out your tribesman, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You said earlier on that you are not energized to criticize because it's from your tribe, it's Yoruba as you are, but one would say the people's democratic mantra is power to the people. It's all about the people. It's not about tribe here. Because in Osun State, we have a mix of different tribes. I'm talking about Osun State, that is a Yoruba state. It's a mixture of different tribes. So would you rather throw the people under the bus just because your tribesman is at the helm of affairs, or speak truth to power?
Yes, I'm speaking the truth. But I want you to understand me for a fact that I know the way they are heading. The bubble is going to burst. So I don't want to be castigated or to be pointed out that it's the National Vice Chairman that is instigating people. People are already loaded, and they are going to eat the street. So I wouldn't want to take credit for what doesn't belong to me. People are tired. Things are not fine. Things are not fine. I'm telling you the truth. Things are not fine. Things are not fine. As far as I'm concerned, let's wait for some other elections to come We are waiting for Ondo election. Let me see the reactions of the people. But my prayer, and I'm begging the federal government not to tamper with the electoral process.
All right.
You know, they can use money to buy voters, they can use whatever influence they have, but not physical tampering with the result, with the figures. With the figures.
Okay, let's go to the issue of the Supreme Court verdict on local government autonomy, granting the local government financial autonomy. And now there is also the ruling that part of the judgment says that the governors will not have the right to set up a caretaker committee.
Yes.
Every local government must have elected local government chairmen and officials. Your reaction to that?
Perfect. I'm with that judgment 100%.
You have nothing against it?
Nothing against it. And when we were campaigning, my governor, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, maintained that position that there should be financial autonomy, you know. But there are so many other things to that that judgment and the structure of the local government. Administratively, you know that the local governments are under the State House of Assembly. So the financial autonomy, fine. Administratively, the House of Assembly takes care of that. And that's why in this coming election, some other states are holding their election with 2 months notice, 3 months notice. But here in Osun, you know, we have to be very careful. We actually follow the electoral law, which says there must be 365 days window, you know, which we have done. So we are not going to do the election anytime soon until probably February 26 or 22, thereabout. So that
the law said there must be 180 days notice.
But 180 days of primaries. 180 days, but the 365 days.
The OCEC in Russia have put the date by February.
By February
2025.
And the notice came out in February 2024. The 365 days provision to we maintain it. And the Supreme Court said there must not be caretaker. So just yesterday, all our caretaker members resigned. Even before the expiration, we have 3 months window. But we say, no, you can leave. And they all left.
So who funds them? Because the Supreme Court order says no local government, I mean, any local government that doesn't have an elected leader will not be,
will
not be recognized. So between now and February, who funds the local government?
That's why if they have to follow the judgment strictly, then there's lacuna, there's problem. So it means they have to go back to the Supreme Court for some clarifications.
Alhaji, so that we don't preempt, you know. And
but
you know,
I think the specific mentioning of one thing is to the exclusion of others. They mentioned about caretaker, there should not be caretaker. But they didn't say the career officers cannot manage the local government. So we have to rely basically on the because they have to be paid salaries and all that.
Of course. That on his side, political bigwigs. One of them, some of them, your members, by the way, in the Southwest, the governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde, recently described that verdict and it's the issue as a distraction.
It is.
He said it's a distraction and that is not what we should be talking about. He's talking about hunger, security, and productivity. That was what he said. And he said, is that what is next? You know, can the local government even survive on their own? And many persons are saying, maybe he's not, maybe he's hungry. No. Like many governors, so that you answer together, that why are Nigerian governors, some of them, not given? They should be happy because that means they will concentrate on their work. The local government people as well will do their work. That why is Governor Makinde, who is part of the governors in the Southwest under the PDP, calling it a distraction?
I will tell you, you know, Governor Makinde is an engineer. He has gone to what I will easily describe as second differential. You know, differentiating the judgment. Differentiating the judgment, you find that there are so many other things that are not even resolved. And let me quickly say this.
Yes.
The present APC government at the national level, they came out with this national anthem. When they came out with the national anthem, I was just laughing. You know why? I knew it was just a distraction, just to distract people from the main issue, which is the hunger and life over it. Maybe they were expecting opposition to start opposing national anthem. We let it go, let them have it. Nobody, no talk. They came out with going to the Supreme Court. From day one, I told my people, I said, this is a distraction. This is a distraction. It can easily be resolved at the governor's forum with the president. Maybe they have a national, there's this meeting that involves the president, the Economic Council. It can be resolved. But they went to the Supreme Court just to make sure they distract people. Not only the governor, they want to distract the largest percentage of people from ignoring the hunger and some other vices that are prevalent.
Alhaji, two truths can coexist.
Yes.
And the people are happy with the Supreme Court verdict.
Let me not tell you, while Governor Makinde is not opposing the judgment, he said it was a distraction because it was something that was made to distract people, but not necessarily opposing. And he has considered a committee to work out, to work on the judgment. And that is to tell you that there are some other things that needs to be put in place. Administratively, local government is under the House of Assembly. And you will realize that Lagos State started this creation of local government. Are you telling me that they are going to revert back to the 20 local government?
The LCDs?
The LCD, no.
Ocean has LCDs as well?
Yes. That is what I'm telling you. So we cannot cancel the LCDA. That is administrative structures.
But the court has said they will only recognize elected officials.
No. They will recognize the official. They will say, we want to deal with the chairman of Rave Western Television. But dealing with the chairman of Western Television, they won't go to the extent of saying they can only legislate on marriages. They cannot legislate on the type of food your wife should give you. You see, I'm just simplifying the judgment.
The former governor,
they can legislate on the elected chairman, fine. But how the elected chairman will not behave in their various domains, they might say these three words, let there be an administrator managing the
Before
SCDA,
we come to Evelyn, a former governor of Ekiti State, from the southwest as well, Peter Ohiolei Fayose, he said that judgment of the Supreme Court, which gives that autonomy to the local government, that he doesn't see it as a big deal, and he gave his reasons to say that the workability, the merit that's supposed to give power to the local government and the chairman to do what they have to do with the people's money and the allocations, that most chairmen are endorsed by state governors, and nobody can become a chairman without being endorsed by state governors. And so, even when they have the autonomy now, they will have to defer to the governors on how to run the local government. How many persons are saying, is that not an anomaly? Why should we be
You should have said they have to defer to the state government, not to the governor. I will expatiate on that.
He spoke categorically about governors.
Yes.
That they are the one that
that was his own choice of word. That was a mistake. But it should have been state government. But interchangeably to state government governors was different. But it should be state government. And state government means the State House of Assembly, the local government, the Minister of Local Government. We have the Local Government Civil Service Commission and all that. You see, local government has to be monitored, has to be managed. You can't just say you're a local government chairman and you're on your own.
Why? The idea of the government.
Let me tell you, there is something called due process. There's a limit to how much contract, the amount of money that you can, the amount of contract you can issue out. As a local government chairman, you cannot issue a contract worth 250 million naira out now. It's not possible. You want to get to ICPC or EFCC. You have to write the Minister of Local Government to say they should give you an approval to commit the local government money to so project. They have to go through the due process by checking your bid. You have to go to bid and order. That is what he's saying in essence. Like, honestly speaking, he's telling the truth.
Alhaji Ajisafe, if you can do this in 1 minute, we are pressed for time. Let's look at the process that brings in this local government chairman. We know that it is the State Electoral Commission saddled with that responsibility of overseeing the election. We actually had a guest yesterday, Comrade Fadawunti, who says that we should revert back to INEC, the National Electoral Commission, conducting local government elections. I'd like your reaction to that.
Well, it's the same thing. I want to assure you that when it comes to local government election, you find out that people will not ordinarily want to partake in the local government election. As far as the results of local, people do decide on their own that they are not going to get justice from the local government election.
Don't you think it's because people believe that the State Electoral Commission is being controlled by the governor, especially, I mean, looking at the Osun State instance now, the person who sits as the chairman of OCEC is a former member of the PDP. He had contested under the platform of the PDP. He was appointed as a special assistant to
special advisor
to Governor Adeleke, and now he sits as a neutral person on the board of the State Electoral Commission. I mean,
how neutral
can he be?
He has purged himself of all political affiliations.
You think he has?
I'm telling you, he came out in the open.
Will the people see it that way?
It now depends on the way the next election, people will now judge him accordingly. But I can assure you, the next election is going to be transparent. If you are popular, join the race.
Okay, we'd like to especially thank you, Alhaji Kamaru Ajisafe, PDP National Vice Chairman for the entire Southwest. Thank you for your time, your thoughts, your takes and submissions this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Femi, we have to go.
Yes, we have. And what we do here is to talk about issues that has to do with the betterment of this great nation called Nigeria. We speak to opinion holders, policymakers, stakeholders, all geared towards having a better Nigeria. And as we usually say, this nation must prosper in our time and beyond as well. God bless Nigeria. Femi Ojo is my name. We'll make a return tomorrow morning, God willing.
God bless Osun State. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei.